reactions, interviews and more. Subscribe.
Fight fans, welcome. This is Sir Chat A Lot of Boxing. An unbelievable packed schedule in boxing continues this weekend, and I'm delighted to welcome onto my channel for the first time Alex from And Still Boxing page on X. Alex, welcome to my channel. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great to get you on for the first time, and I'm looking forward to chatting to you about this big fight and big card that's coming this weekend. The return of the Gypsy King. First question for you to start with, quite simply. Are you excited for the return of the Gypsy King, or like a lot of people, are you quite simply bored shitless of the I'm returning, I'm not returning, I'm now returning? Which one is it for you?
I think if this was a year ago, I'd have been really psyched for this. But obviously, he's been out the ring for 16 months now. And what I'm most interested in, and we'll get into it later, is what kind of Fury we're going to get. But overall, this whole fight to me just feels feels a bit flat. But there we go.
Well, tickets are coming into that about feeling a bit flat. Tickets have been a bit of a laughing stock at this point. I mean, we've been seeing have been going for as low as £9. Is this a huge mistake putting on at the Spurs ground? I mean, obviously they got the Conor Benn thing as well. He signed for Zuffa Boxing. He's the chief support co-main eventer, whatever you want to call it. But do you think this is a big mistake putting this on at the Spurs ground with the way ticket sales are going?
They're clearly trying to capture magic in a bottle again, aren't they? Like with the Conor Benn, Chris Eubank stuff, I believe that was pretty much a sellout and sold more or less immediately. And I think this is part of the problem, part of the thing when you've got people who aren't necessarily based in the UK making these events, is they're sort of over. I think they thought too much around how much of a name Conor Benn is in the UK, and then alongside that, they're thinking, oh, Tyson Fury's back. Everyone's going to turn out for that. And key point being, when he's been out for 16 months, let's be honest, he's not the star or as liked as he was, 18 months ago around the Usyk fights. It's just, I think it was a bit of a miscalculation for them. This feels to me more like they would have sold out a number of other football grounds around London, but Spurs are so big. Poor decision in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. Especially the way it's gone. I mean, I did think to start with the hype for Tyson Fury coming back, it might sell well, and they took a punt on this, and it's not looking great. But we'll probably come to fight night, and all of a sudden the stadium before me, like, where's that come from? It's
come from £9 a ticket. So it's come from. If people are going to be having, do I get my Deliveroo in this? Do I go get my pepperoni naan with my delivery, or do I go to the boxing instead? It's kind of. Those kind of prices, it's mad.
Exactly that, yeah. Well, we haven't seen Tyson Fury in the ring since his second loss to Usyk, which was December of 2024. So he's got massive inactivity. He's the comeback king, though. Do you believe he can establish himself again, or do you think Father Time has caught up with him after all he is 38 years of age in August? Without giving a prediction, do you think he can re-establish himself at the top of the cream of the crop of the heavyweight division?
I can never see him going for world titles or anything like that again. I think there's certainly a place for Tyson Fury in heavyweight boxing, just because of the man he is, the entertainer, the storylines around him, his dad headbutting people during fight week. There's always something around him that makes people want to tune in and watch him, right? But could I see him going on and beating Dubois or Wardley or even Joshua after this? No, I don't think I could. So, it's kind of one of those where it's like, I'm excited to see him back on what he's going to be like. But this weekend, right, we just had Wilder versus Chisora, and you had two fighters who were clearly over the hill going at it. And you could see very quickly they were over the hill. I think Tyson even came out in an interview today and said, he's a bit nervous that maybe he could be also similar to that. Yeah. And it's going to be really 38 years old, 16 months out. That's a lot for me.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. But he is the man. If anyone can do it, it's Tyson Fury for me. But Father Time catches up with all of us, so it will be very interesting to see. I actually put a tweet out today. I know this fight and this card's had some backlash. We're talking about the ticket prices and that, but it still has a lot of interest in the heavyweight division for me. You mentioned about Tyson's dad there, John Fury, and about things he's done in the past, but he has been very, very vocal about Tyson, about his legs are gone, should have called time in his career. Don't necessarily agree with him coming out with just being straight. I'm all for straightness and down the line and that, but for me, don't think he should have done that interview and spoke the way he does. What's your opinion of that interview?
I totally agree with that. I mean, I'm very much of the opinion that family stuff should stay within the family, but then again, this is also a family that has its own documentary on Netflix. And you know, if he hadn't come out in an interview and said all this stuff, we might well have seen this kind of behaviour in season 2 whenever that comes out. But yeah, for the most part, unless there's a complete communication cut off between the two of them, and they're not speaking, this is almost like his only way to speak to his son is via a third party, then I can't see why he'd have done that interview. Again, though, having said that, it's John Fury. John Fury loves the limelight, doesn't he? So
he certainly does, and he's nowhere to be seen at the moment. It looks like, you know, things aren't going well between that bond in that family. Who knows? Will it be a Chris Eubank Senior moment where he turns up for the fight? Who the hell knows? You never know with the Fury clan.
That's it. I mean, but also let's not forget that Makhmudov wrestles bears and stuff, so you can't see John Fury getting too sort of into it with any of his clan, can you? So there's not much for him to be doing at this point. That's kind of his role.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah. Well, we've spoke a fair bit about Tyson Fury. Arslanbek Makhmudov last time out beat Dave Allen. I was actually at that fight. Not a clue how Dave Allen stood up to some of them shots. I mean, we all know he's got a chin of granite. Makhmudov is a big puncher. He's not the prettiest of boxers, but the one thing we know is he can bang. He likes to let his hands go. Again, without a prediction yet, do you see him as a big threat?
I mean, he's certainly the scariest boxer I've ever looked at. And that twitch thing he has is like something else, some kind of James Bond villain, isn't it? Like, it's like the character they've written. But the thing is it all depends really on where you view Dave Allen, because Dave Allen obviously took out Johnny Fisher quite easily in that rematch. Has then stepped up to Makhmudov and then has taken him 12 rounds. So the question for me is if Dave Allen is just purely English British level, which a lot of people on X seem to think he is, then Makhmudov is going to have to do a whole lot better than what he did in that fight in order to get anything out of Fury, in my view. But again, and also, you know, he's gone away. He would be up for this, because this fight for him, if he was to win, this would really open up the doors for his career and what his next fight could be. Maybe he gets the Anthony Joshua fight, you know, or a shot at the world title. So we obviously don't know what's in his head, but you know, he's a very scary person to look at, and not someone who understands boxing at like intrinsic level, like a lot of people can, who can tell you whether his head's in the right line and stuff. But even I can see his footwork is pretty terrible. So I agree with that. And by all accounts, Makhmudov was supposed to land the AJ fight before the Tyson Fury fight. That was the talks of it as well. Yeah. You're right. He's a very scary looking dude. There's no doubt about that. And he is a big puncher for all his faults. The one thing you can say is he's got the power. Makhmudov has got the more activity over Tyson Fury. There's no question about that. That's definitely on his side. Yeah. But he is one of those fighters, when he's stepped up to the higher level, he has folded. For example, Caballero, Villanello, I think the other one was. He got stopped in that. Obviously now his level is fighting Tyson Fury, even though albeit he's been out of the ring, he's now stepping into sort of like elite territories and see the opponents he's taking on. The first signs of vulnerability for me were when he fought Carlos Takam. Takam took him the distance in that fight, and I started seeing a few vulnerability signs of Makhmudov as well. Obviously, he got stopped by Caballero. He got stopped by that Villanello. I don't think he fought on. That's the one where his face was absolutely ruined, wasn't it? The one against Villanello.
Yeah,
He had his eye
absolutely
on
busted.
that whistle, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he was on a Saudi card before that, was he?
I thought it was against. Not, I'm convinced he was against someone. And he took him out really quickly, and that sort of helped with his mythos before the Cabial fight.
The Cabial fight was junior. The Cabial fight was junior Anthony. Oh, you are right. It was in Riyadh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. And I'm fairly certain he took him out super quickly, and that sort of built up that mythos around him, looking terrifying. The twitch, which scares me, might scare others. And yeah, that built up, and he hasn't really lived back up to what people thought he could be. And this is a good chance for him to, even if he was to lose, but sticks around and does well, he can still have that sort of, people still look at him that way. Has that kind of scary fighter. You never know, he might make a very good career for himself as a gatekeeper towards that world level.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely got everything, all the attributes of what a heavyweight needs, with the height, the reach, the punch power. It's just his actual fundamentals of boxing where he's a little bit flawed when it comes to that real higher level where it's needed. The question is, can Makhmudov cause a huge upset? Can he dent the Tyson Fury comeback trail? What is your opinion? Can he cause an upset here at all?
I saw an interview. Well, Adi Oladipo does those videos on his YouTube channel, and he gave it 70-30 to Fury, likelihood of winning. I think that's been a little bit too kind to Makhmudov. I'd say it's probably nearer 80-20 perhaps, but there's still a chance there. We always say there's a puncher's chance in this game anyway, so he's definitely got that. And
Fury is a bit vulnerable on the whiskers.
He is indeed, and we know that he can get knocked down. I mean, I don't think we're going to see Makhmudov bouncing around the ring like Usyk did, but you never know.
No, I definitely can't see that. No, the few things that I picked up about Makhmudov, he's a big heavyweight, but he's slow.
Yeah,
as you say, his feet's not great. He walks forward, in my opinion, and he sort of like walks forward, throws a left and a right. There's no head movement.
Yeah,
this could be brilliant matchmaking for Tyson Fury's return. They haven't done it for no reason. They think that Tyson can pick him off, dance round him, possibly force a late stoppage. I'm not so sure whether he gets a late stoppage. I just think Makhmudov might have enough durability just about to survive with Tyson Fury's inactivity. Yeah. But I think that this could be perfect matchmaking. And I think the safe bet is Tyson Fury to win on points. But if Tyson can get back to his old self, move around the ring, gas Makhmudov out, he could well force a late stoppage. But I think the safe bet is Tyson Fury on points. How do you see it going?
I totally agree. For me, the only way that Makhmudov wins it is if he takes Fury out. If he stops him at some point. If it goes to points, Fury's won. And then it's a case of what Fury do we get? If we get one of the ones that's, has stopped his opponents in the past, then I think we could well be adding Makhmudov to that list. But you are right. I think Fury by points, probably, let's be honest, it'd be a unanimous decision if it gets that far. I'd be shocked if Makhmudov won on points.
And the perfect matchmaking as well.
Yeah. And they've got and as we know, they've got plans for the next fight. So, Makhmudov's got to go out there and completely ruin their plans to have any chance of that.
It's his world title fight, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's Makhmudov's world title fight. This is to cement another massive payday after this. And like you say, the winner, pretty much, they're expecting is to set Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua up, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and then it just comes down to how long it is before AJ's back in. If they put him straight in with Fury, or if there's, they bring back, the Cassius Chaney or whoever it was they were planning to for the Jake Paul fight.
Yeah. But I mean, say the result goes how we're expecting. What do you think happens? Tyson next just set up AJ, and then Makhmudov goes sort of like stays at a lower level. What's that, sorry?
Goes back to Canada, I would imagine. And the Eye of the Tiger, I've got some great shows. So he'll have a good career. We'll see him on because he does have that look. We'll see him out again for certain. But Fury will go on to get AJ. Although being under Frank Warren as well, could he get a shot at Wardley or Dubois winner?
Well, I was going to say that. So we're expecting Fury. Do you think we're expecting Fury AJ to get sort of like a deal done after this fight? Depends if there's also AJ Deontay Wilder for a warm-up for him first. Who knows? Do you think Tyson Fury, once again, can be... Well, you've already answered it earlier, but you don't think there's any chance he could beat Dubois or Wardley?
No, we were talking about the chin.
Really?
We were talking about the chin, weren't we? I think what we've seen...
His powers of recovery are good, though.
They are very good. I mean, it's just what year, how long ago was it, though, when he was down? He had that miraculous zombie-like, final round. Yeah, I mean, do we think he could do that again? I mean, we all say that Wardley is the British Wardley to British Wilder, don't we? So I think that'd be a fascinating fight. It'd almost be like the fourth one in that one, wouldn't it?
It would be a great fight to have Fury versus Fabio Wardley. That'd be class, wouldn't it?
That's the one I would. If it was up to me, and I'd do the AJ Wilder fight because I think that because we've all wanted it, but I would be looking to do Fury Wardley next after this, and then if Fury came through that, which I'm not sure he would, but if he did, then you make AJ Fury for the world title. That's how I would.
I mean, Fury AJ will sell well, but imagine a world title being on the line as well. It'd be huge, wouldn't it? Yeah, absolutely huge.
That's the route that I would like them to go down, but whether they do or not, obviously.
Well, let's wait and see. So we're both going basically a Tyson Fury UD on Makhmudov fight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But
well, that's it.
But you'll be seeing me in my X account if it's like third round and Fury's not looking great. I might well be quickly deleting this message and changing it, deleting this any link to this. And
yeah, we're only human. We can get things wrong. Don't worry about that. Obviously, this comes with a sort of stacked undercards, 4 main fight card on Netflix. Conor Benn versus Regis Prograis, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, back at welterweight. Conor Benn. Rumours of Prograis injured. We don't know what's true about that. Are you expecting this to be a walk in the park for Conor Benn?
Again, it says a lot around that around what the weight cuts and everything did to Eubank for me, because Conor Benn, once you get beyond the PEDs that he allegedly took, which he obviously failed the test for, he hasn't knocked anyone out since then, and he's only knocked down a very tired Eubank in like the final rounds. So I think people are expecting him to go out there and a bit more of that, but I'm not entirely sure. I think we might get the Orozco sort of Peter Dobson Conor Benn, because we're getting back down towards that kind of weight. So I'm not convinced by Conor Benn. He hasn't won it. He hasn't even won an area title, and he's sailing along by his name. Obviously, he's made a lot of money, and fair play to him. There's a lot of talk around him as well. He's going to have a horrendous fight week. The number of questions are going to be there around does he owe people money? Does he not? Why did he leave Zuffa? All this kind of thing. There's going to be a lot of ways to sort of take his attention away from the actual fight, right up until morning of. And he doesn't strike me as somebody who's like focused into things and be able to blot all that out. If he walks out and the stadium's on him and there's loads of boos and cheering and who knows what else, his head could go. And it's going to be a really interesting, because Regis Prograis, whilst let's be honest, he's a very, very small 140. So to bring him up to 150, quite smart, and clearly throwing loads of money at him to do it. But I'm going to be very intrigued to see what that Conor Benn looks like just as he's walking out, because there's something going on with him where he clearly doesn't realise how much, I don't know if I'm elsewhere, but how badly he comes across to the public. He's going to have people. A lot of people went there for the Eubank, the egg and all that stuff. Sold that fight. I don't think people watched it for Conor Benn. So it's going to be very interesting to see when he walks out there and he gets that and his head goes, what we get in the ring. So, in answer to your question regarding who's going to win that and predictions and all that kind of thing, that out of the 4 on the card, the main card, that's the one that I'm like, Conor Benn should win it, but there's a lot of stuff going on around him that I can't possibly account for regarding his mental state. The
thing is, as well, I think it all comes down to what Prograis we get. We all know he's an aging fighter, but he's long in the tooth. But what are we going to get? An injured Prograis?
Yeah.
Has he had a payoff? Look, we need to save the card. Sort of, you take this money, just fight injured. we don't know what Prograis we're going to get. I expect that if the best Prograis comes along of where he's at now, I think Conor Benn, obviously with youth on his side sort of thing, I think he'd beat Prograis on points. Could even be close-ish, but I do think if Prograis is washed and he's injured, you might even get a Conor Benn stoppage. But I do agree, he hasn't stopped anybody for a long time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of backlash and slating about the fight. But I'm intrigued by it. I'm intrigued to see what Prograis we get. I'm intrigued to see what Conor Benn we get. But if I'm going to edge my bets, I'd probably go for a Conor Benn points win. But if Prograis has still got a little bit about him and he's not injured, I think he will really test him.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's when the fight was announced, there's lots of people going, "Oh, Prograis washed." That's an absolute layup for Conor Benn. 15 million for that fight and all that kind of thing.
I know, super boxing.
And I'm a little bit like, yeah, I think I'd still be if you gun to my head, I'd be inclined to go Conor Benn either late stoppage or points win. But if Prograis won, I wouldn't be hugely surprised. And then I do not know where Conor Benn goes after that. Conor Benn loses, what the hell does he do?
I know what Zuffa Boxing do. They don't have him on any deals anymore after that.
No, that's it. Because I think the plan for him is they want to do this UK show, don't they, at some point? And I would imagine that the plan is that he's going to headline their first UK show, I'd have thought.
I don't think it's going to sell well, though, the way it's looking. Like you mentioned earlier, that Eubank fight was the key. It sold well because of the rivalry. That's it, isn't it?
That's it. And also, you know what? It had people like Vidal on there. You know, it had some some people that Chris Billam-Smith was on there. It had people that people like watching. And the second card was nowhere near as good. But the first one had people that people enjoy watching fight. And, that was always going to sell out, in my view.
Yeah. I agree with that. One thing we forgot to mention as well, that Prograis is actually a southpaw as well, so he brings something different to the table as well. Very, very interesting fight. One of the other fights on the card as well, probably not really loads to say about this one, but Fraser Clarke versus Justice Huni. Fraser Clarke's got a bounce back from that, in all honesty, that dreadful showing last time against Tsikeva, hasn't he? But I think Huni will comfortably outbox Fraser Clarke here. Yeah,
I agree. 100% agree with that. I mean, Fraser Clarke is still, the guy's face was like collapsed in on itself. I'm not entirely convinced he should be boxing at all. If it had been me or he'd been my son or something, I'd be saying to him, mate, you need to be retiring because you can't be taking that damage. I've never seen that before. It's kind of the battle of Fabio Wardley's sons, isn't it, that fight?
Well, yeah, definitely, yeah. But just the one was knocked out, and it was a great knockout, but he wasn't as battered in as what Fraser Clarke was. No,
that's it. Huni for me has had less wars. He's had that good. He's a good amateur. He's got I know not to say that Fraser Clarke wasn't. He's got very good technique to me. He seems like the kind of heavyweight that he moves well, doesn't he? From what I can see.
He's a good boxer. Yeah.
Whilst Fraser Clarke has literally just lost to TKV. I watched TKV versus Franklin Ignatius, who obviously was taken out by Matty Harris at the weekend.
Yeah.
And I can't, even though it was a relatively early stoppage, I just remember him lumbering towards it, and I thought this guy's going to go nowhere. And then there was the Adelaide fight where I was like, okay, maybe he's a little bit better than I thought.
Yeah.
And then beating Fraser Clarke. Again, we hadn't seen much of Fraser Clarke after that Wardley. He beat Tete, and that was it. That's all we've seen him do. So
and then obviously TKV battered him as well.
And TKV battered him exactly. He's changed his trainer though, hasn't he? He's now with Joe Gallagher. So
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that's the only bit that makes me. I said it was 80-20 Fury Makhmudov earlier. I'd be going well 90-10 for Huni if it wasn't for that Joe Gallagher thing. I didn't rate his last coach, and the way he came across in interviews and things was really, really poor.
Yeah,
and I think that I think Joe Gallagher's a wonderful coach, and if he can see those weaknesses in Fraser Clarke and make those adjustments, we could get a completely different fighter on Saturday. But with the information that we know, I can't see beyond Huni winning. Yeah,
what you would say a Huni points win, because he's not a massively powerful heavyweight, is he?
No, I remember he went on a bit of a knockout streak on those Opetire undercards they were doing in like 2014. Was it 2014, 2015? Yeah.
No, 20,
2024, 2025? Yeah, it must have been. He'd like beat like 2 guys in a month. Then there's an Italian heavyweight he beats and stuff. So yeah, he could, I think it'd be, again, Huni Pointsman's probably the safe one to go for. But again, wouldn't be surprised if it's stoppage.
Yeah, he's a slick boxer. I mean, we remember when he was totally outboxing Fabio Wardley, and then
That's
he just
it.
got caught, but he would have won. That would have been a massive victory for him when you
Yeah.
look what Fabio Wardley's gone on to now as well.
Yeah, we know that Fabio Wardley's streets ahead of TKV. So if Huni does that to him, he'll be looking at, is it 10 rounds? It doesn't matter, 10 or 12 rounds to 0. And Fraser Clarke doesn't have the leveler in the same way.
Yeah, very true. Well, another heavyweight fight on the card as well, which will be the British heavyweight title. Jamie TKV defending his title that he fought Fraser Clarke for the British heavyweight title as well. He's taken on Richard Riakporhe, obviously, who's moved to the heavyweight division. Last time out, beat Tommy Walsh. Really good performance. Disappointing Tommy Walsh was for how calm he seemed about what he was going to do. Billy Nelson's took control of Richard Riakporhe now. Good fight. Jamie TKV's tough. He can take a shot well. I think he's going to have to be extremely tough in this one because Richard Riakporhe can bang, and he's looking huge at heavyweight, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand how he was getting himself down to cruiserweight is beyond me. Like, you look at him and he's ridiculously muscular anyway, and he was looking at a cruiserweight. You see him at heavyweight, and he's an even bigger boy. He's got that sort of, it's not all about how the body looks and stuff, but surely he can hit harder than TKV can. He's obviously really, really good. He was obviously really, really strong at cruiserweight, and if you can bring some of that across to heavyweight, he's going to be a problem in this division. I think him as a British champion would create stronger matchups moving forwards. So, like, if you imagine, Riakporhe versus, I don't know, someone like, Dave Allen gets through against Hrgovic, whether that's going to happen or not. Riakporhe versus Allen is a fight that, would sell tickets and be a lot of fun. I'm not sure if I'd want to see, Allen versus TKV as much. I just feel Riakporhe being there just elevates sort of how that he's just a stronger boxer with better pedigree.
Yeah.
To me,
Yeah. So how do you see this fight going? I mean, for me, I think Jamie TKV is very durable, very tough. I just think Richard Riakporhe is going to have a little bit too much for him. I think he'll onslaught Jamie TKV. Jamie TKV is not the most mobile. Billy Nelson's assuring us about training a British heavyweight champion.
Yeah. Does he spar with Broccoli as well?
Who knows? Richard Riakporhe has been sparring.
They're the same trainer, right? Haven't they? So I'm wondering if they spar in the gym.
Billy Nelson. Billy Nelson trains them both, but Richard Riakporhe has been sparring. He's been sparring Pat Brown. Richard Riakporhe. Yeah, so I mean, it's solid sparring that isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Pat. It's a shame we don't have time to talk around like the view on him because I thought he was, that was a good, difficult fight against Duca, and he did well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And so Riakporhe's going to be used to heavy hitters as well. So if he's sparring him, he's going to get used to that. So I don't know. I think out of the four, this is the hardest one to call. But I think if, again, gun to head, I'm going Riakporhe. And I think I'm going to go Riakporhe stoppage.
Be some statement as well, because TKV, he's very tough and durable. Billy Nelson reckons the sparring's been brilliant between Pat Brown and Riakporhe. Top sparring, that is. We know what Pat Brown's doing. Yeah. So it's very interesting to see. The 3-fight undercard is pretty solid, I think. Obviously topped by the main event, which will be live on Netflix for all Netflix subscribers. Fury vs Makhmudov coming this Saturday, live from the Spurs ground. You've heard our opinions. You've heard our predictions. Please let us know whether you agree, whether you don't agree. Everything is all fine. And if you can drop me a like, subscribe, and let us know any of your comments. Alex, thanks for coming on my channel. It's been great to get you on for the first time, and I'm sure we'll do this again.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
Cheers, mate, and thanks for your time.
Not a problem at all. Speak soon.
Cheers. Thank you.